Hello.
Hello.
First, I gotta say, big fan.
Thank you.
My question is, in the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, what were your feelings on when Kyon pretty much breaks Yuki's heart by giving her back the club application, and how were your feelings on voicing that?
How's my feelings on voicing that? For those who may not know, this is the movie from the series The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. The movie version is called The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, and in it the premise is that Haruhi has somehow disappeared. And because she has disappeared, the entire world is different. And one of the characters, Yuki, who had been very meek and mild-mannered and sort of almost emotionless, now has emotions. She's shy and she's sort of crushing on my character Kyon, and Kyon has a decision to make. It turns out he has the ability to revert the world back to the way it was, or to stay in this new world where everything is normal. So will he go back to the world where everything's crazy, or will he stay in this world where everything is normal? And it's sort of his Hamlet moment. You know, he gets a sort of big to be or not to be speech. And again, that was very stressful. Because from an actor's position, it was very stressful because I wanted that moment to have a lot of resonance. Because at one point, Kyon is talking to himself. Another version of himself comes out and starts yelling at him. And I wanted to make sure that the version of him that was yelling at him and the version that was being yelled at talked in very different voices. But I can't have one talk with a lisp, you know? You're a despicable Kyon. You know, like it's not gonna work. So it's a very delicate acting moment. And especially because he has a lot of sympathy for Yuki, and he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. So that was a very delicate moment. That was another one where I went in and started rewriting a bunch of my lines to get it just so, because that moment was so important to me. And in fact, I think someone has isolated that moment and put it up on YouTube and called it like Kyon's Epiphany or something. And I'm quite proud of the work we did on that. But yeah, I feel bad for Yuki because as a person, Crispin Freeman finds Yuki the most interesting character. Crispin Freeman would never date Haruhi. Kyon would date Haruhi, but Crispin Freeman would never date Haruhi.
Good.
So Crispin Freeman would date Yuki, and so I sort of go, oh, Yuki. Okay, gotta play Kyon and break her heart. Okay, here we go. So, you're welcome.
Hi there.
Hello.
I just want to say that you're awesome. Okay, don't get serious.
I'm sorry, you're speaking so quickly I can't understand you, so forgive me.
I get that a lot. I'm Hispanic, so it's normal.
Okay, but I won't be able to hear your question if you can't slow down, so.
Okay. My question is, who are your favorite voice actors to work with?
Who are my favorite voice actors to work with? Well, ironically, as a voice actor, I don't work with many voice actors because if we're working on video games and Japanese animation, we all record separately. So I don't work with many voice actors. The only time I work with a voice actor in the moment is when I'm doing an American animated show, because then we record sort of radio play style and all of us are in the room together. But even then, sometimes we're not all in the room together. Like when I was working on Young Justice, in the second season, I play Red Arrow, and Alan Tudyk from Firefly and other fame plays Green Arrow. And so in the second season, there's a big episode where it's all Green Arrow and Red Arrow, and they're working out the relationship. And Alan was busy that day and couldn't make it, and so I recorded my entire part as Red Arrow separately without Alan there. They had to record Alan differently. So sometimes it's quite a lot of fun. In Spectacular Spider-Man, we had all the villains together in one episode. And it was great, because it was like me and Clancy Brown and Jeff Glenn Bennett and Peter McNichol and Steve Bloom, and we're all like in the room together playing the villains, the Sinister Six, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it can be a lot of fun playing off of people. But voice acting can be a very isolating lifestyle because you're recording by yourself in a padded room with a microphone in your face. So your microphone becomes your best friend.
Or the director.
Or the director, yeah. I mean, honestly, I work more with voice actors when I'm directing, right? Then I actually get to work with voice actors because I'm directing the voice actors. But when I'm acting, I rarely get to work with other voice actors.
Hello there.
Hello!
Yeah, how did you get into character whenever you did the voice for Roy Harper and Sube on Wall Street?
How do I get into character? Well, there's two aspects. One is physically, I need to make sure that my instrument is warmed up, that my voice is ready to go, that my breath control is working well. Especially when I'm playing a character like Sume, who has a lower pitched voice, I have to make sure that all of my low resonators are working, and all that good stuff. But then, when I do that in the car while I'm driving to my session, I have a little warm-up routine that I do. But then when I get there, getting in character is about understanding what's going on in the scenes, you know, in the moment, and understanding what the psychological agenda of that character is, sort of what makes them tick. And when I understand the psychological agenda of the character, and I understand what's going on in the situation, then I play pretend in that situation, and the voice that comes out is usually appropriate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question. What makes Sune from Wolf's Rain your favorite character?
I think what makes Sume from Wolf's Rain my favorite character is that Wolf's Rain was sort of a dream come true project for me. When I was first starting as a voice actor, I worked in New York City, and I worked on a whole bunch of great shows. But I felt like I had sort of maxed out. The New York market was smaller than the LA market, and I was curious what it might be in LA. And at that time, I heard this little show called Cowboy Bebop. You may have heard of it. Someone played me the dub for Cowboy Bebop, and I thought, oh my God, I want to work with those people. Oh, they sound amazing. So I moved to LA, and I started working with them. But of course, by the time I got there, Cowboy Bebop was over. They'd finished it. But I didn't expect to work with Cowboy Bebop. Clearly, it was already dubbed. But that same production crew was going into a new show, and this new show was Wolf's Rain. And not only was it done by the same studio in animation, same animation studio, same character designer, same composer, different animation director, but when it came to America, it was the same dubbing studio. So Mary Elizabeth McGlynn was directing it, Zero Limit Productions was producing it, so it was a lot of the same team. This is the people I wanted to work with. On top of that, Wolf's Rain had these deep mythological themes and storytelling aspects that really appealed to me. And actually, me and the director, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, would like geek out over the episodes before we'd go in to record stuff, because she wanted to know, you know, what words could we use. The word in Japanese, rakuen, paradise. Can we use the word heaven? And I'm like, no, you can't really use the word heaven because that has different meanings in the Abrahamic religions than in Hinduism and Buddhism, and because of what. So we were going like deep down the rabbit hole to make sure that the show was just so. So that show had a lot of both metaphysical meaning to me, and also because Mary Elizabeth really pushed me in that show. I think she helped me grow as an actor, and I was able to do things as Sume that I had never been able to pull off from an acting perspective before. So on many different counts, that was one of my favorite shows to work on, and I still think it's heartbreaking to this day.
Can you do the line, Paradise, Paradise, and kiss my ass? Can you do that, please?
Yes, it's when they're leaving the town, and it goes, Paradise can kiss my ass.
Somebody already asked my question about Zagatus, so I have a different one for you.
Okay.
So considering that Slayers has been, the original production was a ways time ago, and considering you're still working now, what are some of the things that have changed over the years since you initially recorded for like Slayers or whatever, and now in the voice acting industry?
In the voice acting world?
Yeah, and if you could answer as Mr. Zagatus, that would be easier.
Naira. I'm not sure if I can answer as Mr. Zagatus, because Mr. Zagatus doesn't know much about the voice acting world. He is a shaman who has to fight creatures. I think what has changed most probably in the voice acting world between then and now is the massive reach of anime. That anime historically in America has always come over in waves, right? So there was Astro Boy and then it disappears, and then there's Gigantor and then it disappears, and then Speed Racer and it disappears. One of the big waves was Robotech, right? That was a big wave of anime and then it disappeared. When Slayers was coming out, that was also about the time of Pokemon. And that era, the Pokemon era, anime came and it stayed. And the reason it stayed is because the internet existed. Suddenly, anime fans were no longer geographically isolated from each other. They were able to maintain a community on the internet. And that meant that the fan base didn't dry up when the content stopped getting broadcast. And so Slayers was one of those early shows that everyone could get on VHS and DVD. And so it was sort of still an underground thing, but it was an underground community. Then about the mid-noughts, like 2005, 6, whatever, Cartoon Network started showing anime on Adult Swim, which was Robin and all sorts of other stuff. And that really exploded the fan base for anime. And so now this idea that we have these conventions with 50,000 people at Anime Expo or Otakon or even more, that the reach and the popularity of anime is so much greater than it was before. Ironically, there's more piracy than there ever was before, and the studios have a much harder time making any money. So the popularity is huge. I mean, look how many people are at the convention. But that appreciation for anime doesn't always translate into money being paid to the people who make it. And if the studios and the artists who make this can't get paid for their work, then the quality will decline and decline and decline, and they won't be able to attract the best artists to do it. So in a weird way, anime has never been more popular, and at the same time, it has never been less supported financially. And that's not a sustainable market. That's not a sustainable business model. Something's going to have to change. Otherwise, this anime thing that we know and love will dry up.
Can you give me one line as Legatus song?
Sure. Do you have a favorite line as Legatus?
Nope. But as soon as you started talking, I was like, oh my god.
I'll give you a spell cast. How about that? Raw.